Hey guys, my name is Blaze and welcome back to our ongoing mini tutorial series. We're going to actually finish off, or we're going to start from where we finished off last time. And this is our skill tutorials menu, so skill tree tutorial. And what we have so far is we have a clickable button here. It doesn't really do anything and it's kind of buggy because even though we haven't met specific requirements, then we can still click it and we don't want that. But first, let's work to finish our skill tree first. Let's do that. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to take this B button class or object. I do apologize in advance if I start using words like class or base class. The reason for that is because I'm from C++ and I've just gotten used to calling everything base classes. So if I say base class, don't freak out. I'm just talking about these parent objects here in GameMaker. The language is, or the lingo is kind of different. I've just taken a little bit longer to get used to it. But let's go into the actual tutorial itself. What we're going to focus on today is actually everything here that's happening in the create section of our button class. And of course, we're going to do a few things here in global left pressed. And if you've been following my tutorial, then we are also going to be working in the skill menu section too. So let's create our other buttons. What we're going to do first is we're going to create, it'll be easier if we create a new one. And we're going to call this, I will call this button attack up. And we need a sprite collision mask, and what I'm going to use is the UI skills collision mask. And we're actually going to make it a child object of the button. So let's have a look at that. What we're going to do first is we're going to replace this. So instead of B button, we are now going to spawn in or instantiate button attack up. There we go. There it is. So let's play that. Nothing should change. Everything should look more or less the same when we open up the skill menu. There we go. Everything works. Everything's fine. So nothing's really changed. But what we are going to do now is we're going to create the rest of the buttons. So with this, nothing really changes because it's more or less a direct clone of B button. But what we're going to do now is we're going to create now a button skill cleave. And again, we're going to set the collision mask to UI skills, create a parent of B button. That's our base class there. And this time we're going to add a create event. And in this create event, I'll just get rid of that line because it's kind of weird that that's there. In the create event, we're going to type in, just center this on screen, we're going to type in event underscore inherited, which is, if you've been working with GameMaker and parent and child objects for a while, you'll know that an event inherited basically takes all of these functions or whatever you do in the actual parent object and it tells it to run it here. Why am I running it here if I'm not running it in the object attack up? The reason being here is because we're actually going to make a few changes. The actual changes that we're going to make is the image that we're going to use. So if we go image here, we're going to set that to 1. And with the skill tier as well, we need to change that too. So we're going to take image, set that to 1, and skill tier, we're going to set that to 2. The reason why I'm running event inherited in this object and not in attack up is because we need to do a few things. The first one is, of course, we're going to change the sub image that we are using. If I open up my UI skills object here, if we go to image 1, you know that that's different. So by setting image to 1, we're not going to be drawing this one. We will be drawing this sprite instead. At the same time, we also need to change what level that the player object or the unit can actually learn this skill. They need to be level 2. And so we need to change that as well. Now here's something to know, and this is very important when you're using something like event inherited. What you need to make a note of is that if you put event inherited after, so in a line down here, what it will do is it will set image to 1, skill tier to 2, and then run this line of code. However, if we are looking at the parent object, you can see here that the image is set to 0 and the skill tier is set to 1. What it's going to do is it's going to set image to 1 here and set skill tier to 2. But because we are running event inherited after we set these two variables, it's going to change them back to image 0 and skill tier 1. So that's something that's very important to how you're writing your code. Code order is extremely important, is my point there. So that's what we're going to do for that. The next thing that we're going to do is actually create a duplicate of that. And instead of skill cleave, call it, I don't know, skill sword buff. And instead of, oh, okay, so I guess it doesn't copy over everything. So what we're going to do again is event inherited and semicolon to end the lines. It's not a requirement here in GameMaker to have a semicolon at the end, but if you're planning to move into other game engines like Unity or Unreal, having these code endings, these line endings with a semicolon is extremely important. So make sure you have that. So we have event inherited, but this time we're going to go image equals 2. And then we're going to have skill tier equals 3. Okay, cool. Let's have a look at what we've got so far though. Right now we have just one button being drawn in. Let me open up my notes so that I know where we need to spawn the next two. So the next two will be, if you will allow me, I will just copy this line here and again down the bottom because they're pretty much the same. So here we're going to go with, in my notes it says 120 and 192. Now obviously these are positions on screen. With your game you're going to have to change these values here because this is relative only to my game. Now we also need to change which object we're going to spawn. So we have skill cleave and we have also sword buff. Cool, awesome. Let me put an extra line in between there because we're going to test the game now. We're going to be able to, well, we want to be able to see if all our objects draw, and they do, which is good. Good. Excellent. But we're not done yet. We still need to create the other 3 buttons, which is, I guess, pretty much the same. If you open up your sprite skill, your skill sprites, I still have these other 3 ones that I need to take care of. So there's going to be some silence, don't worry. I'll probably put some music on or something. And I will create these buttons here. Actually, you know what? I will take this time to talk to you guys about something that's been kind of on my mind for a while now. And that is that I actually want to help fund this channel, or what I'm doing for this channel. I've been talking with the people that are with the future contributors of this channel, and they have suggested that I start a Patreon campaign. The thing about that is that I don't know how often I'll be able to upload things to Patreon. So what I was thinking of doing is actually taking the time to create a Udemy course. And I was thinking, or I was hoping actually, if you guys could give me suggestions on what type of Udemy course you would like me to create. I do go beyond Game Maker. The only reason why I'm using Game Maker at the moment is to actually start rebuilding my channel content from the ground up. And so what I was hoping was that I would get suggestions from you guys as to what kind of Udemy course you would like to see, or what kind of content you would like to see in my Udemy course. What I do have planned at the moment is actually, well, I think it's important, is a games design course. So basically, we're not making games per se. We're actually going to be making game design documents, something that a lot of game developers, especially juniors, tend to skip, and it's kind of disheartening to see, because as unimportant as it may seem, that's what I was looking for. As unimportant as it may seem, the design document is actually the most important part of the game, or one of the most important parts of the game. And so I was thinking that I would have a game design document writing course on Udemy. But of course, I would like to know your guys' opinion on that. And so I will probably make an official announcement later on, but that's just something that's been on my mind for a while, is just what I want to tell you guys. So yeah, give me some suggestions for what kind of Udemy course you'd like to see, or whether I should do a Patreon campaign just for these tutorials. I'm not really confident about creating a Patreon campaign for a bunch of tutorials here, but I don't know, like, it's really down to you guys what you would like to see. I will call that shield, and event inherited 5 and image 6. One thing that I will definitely do starting not next week, the week after, is I'm going to restart my beginners RPG series. So it's going to be all in Game Maker Studio 2, and we're just going to go from there. Okay, so what I'm doing now, back to the tutorial obviously, what I'm doing now is I've created all these extra buttons. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to put them into the rest of the, let me just put these in. I'm going to put these into the actual menu now. So when we start up the game and we open up the menu, you can see what's going on. So we have skill heal, and we have defense up. Yeah, these skills are obviously not coherent with anything. This is just for tutorial purposes. I really hope that you guys are expanding on these tutorials and creating your own versions, because trust me, you wouldn't want to create anything like this. So now we have these nice pretty little checks, which is nice. We can hover over them, so each one will react accordingly. And we can learn all these different skills, which is great. We have the basic functionality, and that is done. But we're not quite finished yet. All of this, that works, which is good. But we need to go back into the actual button here. And in global left pressed, if you noticed before, we can actually click on it. We don't want that to happen. If we're at level 0, like, we can learn all these skills. We don't want to be able to do that. And this is where I've haven't actually tested it. So hopefully this works. Let me just check something real quick. And I can see here already that I've already messed up. So I've already skipped something. What we're going to do is we're going to add another check here. And we're going to get rid of that in this line here, where we're actually drawing the sprite. What we're going to do is we're going to add in another check. So we're going to go oPlayer.level, is equal to or greater than skill tier. Remember, we are going to use that question mark again, that ternary operator. Skill tier, if it's greater or equal to than skill tier, then we're going to use C gray. Otherwise, or else, we're going to use dark gray. Done. So that's that one skill check that we've got here. The result of that is, once it starts up, the result of that is, of course, if we can't learn it, then we can't actually do it. Like, it's going to appear darker. But if we level up, then it comes up a little bit lighter. But we still have that same problem where we can still learn the skills. So how do we actually do that? Well, here in the global left pressed, we're going to, here. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to do a check here. So let's check first. So if O player, I hope this works because I haven't tested it. If O player dot level, not skill tier, is greater than or equal to the skill tier, then learned true. Else, just gonna exit. We're gonna do nothing. So let's hope that this works. Basically, what I've done here is we're checking to see if player's level is at the same level or higher than the skill tier of the actual button that we're trying to click. Let's have a look at that and see if that will actually work. I haven't tested to see if this works. I hope that it does. Okay, so I'm clicking right now and results look promising. We can hover over them, but we can't actually learn them, which is good. Now, if I level up, hopefully I can learn these skills. Yes, I can, which is good. If I level up again, good. So we now have level locking, which is a good thing. So it's a pretty simple check here. What we're doing is essentially we're saying if our level is not the same level as skill tier, or if it's like if we're level 1, we're trying to learn a level 2 skill, then we exit and we do nothing. Now, obviously, your RPG is likely going to be different to what I've shown you here. If you're making something like Diablo, I know somebody suggested a Diablo style skill tree or skill menu, then what you're going to want to do instead of using something like learned is change its level. So each of your skills will have a level of its own. So this, you'd have something like skill.level++. And what you would do here is you go here. You would have skill level. Oops. Level equals 0. You would have something like that. And what you're going to do is each time you click on it, you add a level onto that. Now, I'm not going to go into that because that is way, way outside of the scope of this concept of, or this tutorial series. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you guys a couple of notes here. And all it is you do checks here. Do extra checks, do extra level checks here. Again, if you want to do other checks up here, so maybe you need a certain skill level before you can unlock the next one, then you're going to have to do another set of checks up here. So you do checks to learn here. Do checks to learn the skill. And so hopefully this has sparked some curiosity and helped you guys to build your skill tree. If you wanted to do something like locking out a specific skill once you level up, or once you learn one skill, basically if you want to do something like specialization, you can do that too, and you would probably do that. You would have to do that here on this line here in the if statement. So you'd have a pretty long if statement. And so hopefully this has helped you guys out. Again, I'd like to know your opinions on whether I should start up a Patreon or Udemy course, Patreon campaign or Udemy course. It's up to you guys. If you guys want me to do both, then I can do both. Obviously, each and every single one of these will have a different reward system, I guess, for you guys. And obviously, if I do both, then I would have to do not fewer YouTube videos, but they'll definitely won't be coming out as frequently as I would like them to be. Either way, guys, I will be restarting my beginner's RPG. And what we are going to be making is we're going to be making a top-down action RPG here in Game Maker Studio 2. But don't worry, I will make sure to explain it to you guys who are still using 1.4. You'll just have to be patient because that's not starting next week, it's starting the week after. So hopefully I can get your opinion, guys. And I will see you probably next week with a new, a new Code Bytes tutorial video. And that's all for me. Hope you guys have learned something. If you have any questions, please don't be afraid to ask them in the comment section below. Anyway, that's all for me, guys. I hope to see you next time. Bye.